The Bennett house stood as a symbol of perfection, a beautiful suburban home with manicured lawns, white picket fences, and a warmth that seemed to radiate from within. To their neighbors, Sarah and Michael Bennett were the ideal couple. They hosted holiday dinners, volunteered at community events, and were often seen taking evening walks hand in hand. But behind those closed doors, behind the carefully curated smiles and polite conversations, there lurked a darkness that no one could have imagined. This is the chilling story of how jealousy, betrayal, and revenge turned a perfect marriage into a scene of unimaginable horror. Sarah had always been deeply devoted to Michael. From the moment they met in college, she was drawn to his charm and ambition. Michael was the kind of man who could walk into any room and command attention. He was confident, intelligent, and charismatic, a man who seemed to have his entire life figured out. Sarah, quiet and reserved, often described him as her protector and her rock. Their love story seemed like something out of a movie. They married young, built a beautiful home together, and over the years, Michael's career as a financial consultant soared. But as Michael's professional life flourished, his personal life began to crack. The demands of his job kept him away for long hours, and Sarah started feeling increasingly isolated. What hurt most was Michael's growing emotional distance. He no longer looked at her with the same tenderness, no longer reached for her hand during their evening walks. Sarah tried to fix things, cooking his favorite meals, planning romantic getaways, but nothing seemed to reignite the spark. Then came Emily. Emily was Sarah's closest friend since childhood. They had grown up together, sharing secrets, dreams, and milestones. Emily was vivacious and outgoing, the complete opposite of Sarah's quiet demeanor. She was practically family, always around for dinners and gatherings. Sarah trusted Emily completely, never suspecting that the very person she confided in would become her greatest source of betrayal. It started subtly. Michael and Emily would exchange harmless jokes during group gatherings, laughing a little too much at each other's comments. At first, Sarah thought nothing of it. After all, Emily was like a sister to her. But over time, Sarah began noticing strange behaviors, hushed conversations that stopped when she entered the room, text messages Michael quickly hid, and sudden, unexplained absences. The truth crashed down on Sarah one rainy evening. Michael had forgotten to log out of his laptop before heading to bed. As Sarah tidied up the living room, her eyes fell on the open screen. There, in plain sight, was a string of intimate messages between Michael and Emily. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through the conversation. The words cut like knives. Michael professing his love for Emily. Emily describing how she couldn't wait to be with him again. The two of them plotting secret rendezvous while Sarah stayed home alone, blissfully unaware. Sarah's vision blurred with tears as a searing pain spread through her chest. Her world, the life she had carefully built, crumbled in an instant. For days, Sarah said nothing. She went through the motions of daily life, while silently grappling with an unbearable mix of anger, heartbreak, and humiliation. At night, while Michael slept peacefully beside her, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing. How could he do this to her? How could Emily betray her in such a vile way? Most people, faced with such a revelation, would confront their spouse or end the relationship. But Sarah wasn't like most people. Something inside her had snapped. Her pain morphed into something darker, a cold, calculating rage. She began plotting her revenge meticulously, her mind consumed by a single thought. If Michael and Emily wanted to destroy her life, she would destroy theirs first. Sarah played her role flawlessly. She continued to act like the loving, devoted wife. She smiled at Michael, even kissed him goodnight, all while harboring a plan that would end in blood. She even maintained her friendship with Emily, masking her fury behind a facade of warmth. Emily, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath Sarah's calm exterior, had no idea she was walking into a trap. Sarah decided the perfect opportunity would be a small, intimate dinner at their home. She invited Emily over under the pretense of celebrating Michael's recent promotion. Emily eagerly accepted, excited to spend time with both of them, and completely unaware that she was stepping into a carefully staged nightmare. The evening began pleasantly. Soft music played in the background, wine flowed freely, and laughter filled the air. Sarah, playing the gracious hostess, served a lavish meal and complimented Emily on her dress. Michael, slightly drunk, was in high spirits, his guard completely down. To any outsider, it was a picture of harmony. But beneath the surface, tension simmered. Sarah's eyes lingered on Michael and Emily, watching their subtle glances, their barely concealed affection. Every laugh they shared was another dagger to her heart. As the night wore on, Sarah excused herself to the kitchen. She took a deep breath, her hands gripping the counter as she steadied herself for what was about to happen. When she returned, she carried with her a bottle of wine and 3 fresh glasses. As she poured the drinks, she smiled, a smile so cold it would haunt anyone who saw it. She raised her glass in a toast, her voice steady and eerily calm. "To new beginnings," she said. Michael and Emily clinked their glasses with hers, completely unaware that for one of them, this would be the end. Later that night, the neighbors were startled by the sound of a woman's anguished screams piercing the quiet suburban street. By the time police arrived, the scene inside the Bennett house was one of utter chaos. Michael lay dead on the living room floor, his body brutally stabbed multiple times. Blood pooled around him, staining the expensive rug beneath. Furniture was overturned, and shattered glass glittered like diamonds in the dim light. Emily was nowhere to be found. Sarah, hysterical and covered in blood, told police that she had been upstairs when she heard a struggle. She claimed she rushed down to find her husband dead and the front door wide open, suggesting that an intruder had fled the scene. At first, investigators considered the possibility of a home invasion. But something about Sarah's story didn't add up. There were no signs of forced entry. Nothing appeared stolen, and Sarah's behavior, though dramatic, seemed rehearsed. As detectives began piecing together the timeline, inconsistencies emerged. Sarah's account of the evening shifted under questioning. Meanwhile, Michael's phone records revealed a series of heated text exchanges with Emily, hinting at a volatile love triangle. The turning point came when investigators discovered a small hidden camera tucked away on a bookshelf in the living room. Initially, they assumed it was part of a home security system. What they found on the footage, however, was far more disturbing. The grainy black and white video showed the dinner party in chilling detail. At first, everything appeared normal: laughter, toasts, casual conversation. But then, the atmosphere shifted. Michael and Emily argued quietly, their voices rising. Sarah, silent, stood in the background, her expression unreadable. Suddenly, Sarah lunged forward, grabbing a knife from the table. The camera captured the brutal attack in stark clarity, Sarah stabbing Michael repeatedly as he tried to fight her off. Emily screamed and fled toward the door, slipping on the blood-soaked floor before disappearing from view. The footage shattered Sarah's carefully constructed lie. She was arrested on the spot, her cold facade finally cracking as she realized her plan had unraveled. But the case didn't end there. Under intense interrogation, Emily revealed a shocking twist. She had been complicit in the plot all along. Consumed by guilt, Emily confessed that Sarah had manipulated her, convincing her to help stage the cover-up. Together, they had planned to frame the crime as a botched robbery, but Emily had panicked and fled when the violence spiraled out of control. In court, the trial captivated the nation. Prosecutors portrayed Sarah as a master manipulator, a woman who had carefully orchestrated her husband's murder to exact revenge for his betrayal. Emily, testifying against Sarah in exchange for a reduced sentence, painted a harrowing picture of psychological manipulation and control. The jury deliberated for just 6 hours before returning a verdict, guilty of first-degree murder. Sarah Bennett was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Emily received 15 years for her role in the cover-up. As the gavel fell and the courtroom erupted in whispers, one thing became chillingly clear. Beneath the surface of a seemingly perfect life, darkness had festered, waiting for the right moment to erupt. Today, the Bennett home sits abandoned, a silent reminder of the night when love turned to hate and trust turned to bloodshed. Neighbors avoid walking past it, their eyes averted, their voices hushed. Some say they still hear echoes of Sarah's screams in the dead of night. In the end, Sarah Bennett's story is one of obsession, vengeance, and the terrifying depths to which a broken heart can descend. It is a tale that asks a question none of us want to face. How well do we truly know the ones we love?